Are you using Notion to manage your projects, but you wish if it had a little bit more features to make your project management a little bit easier, such as nested tasks or effective subtask system or reoccurring tasks? If that was the case, keep watching. Greetings, my name is Ziad Hamad. I'm an engineer, a project manager, an internal auditor, a business developer slash analyst, and a 3D modeling and rendering expert. Obviously, I have no social life. This video is a demo for a business management template, a project management template that I've developed for Notion. This video consists of two parts. The first part is an intro and a demo for this template and how it works. The second part is behind the scene of the logic of that template and some of the codes that are used. I hope you enjoy this video and you find it useful. So let's get into it. There are a lot of project management templates for Notion. What makes this one really special? First of all, it was built with the project management principle in mind. It guides you through the project management planning process. It has the best subtask or nested task system that I found up until now. I couldn't find any better system than this. It has the best reoccurring tasks management system. Again, I couldn't find anything better. If you know anything better, please let me know. It has an auto progress tracking calculation, which basically uses the SPI calculation method, Schedule Performance Index, which is an index that tells you if your project or your task is ahead of schedule, on schedule, or behind schedule. It has some automatic error detection, a child to parent roll-up calculation, which basically rolls up the total duration, the start and end date, and the total progress from child task into the parent task. It has a visual planning page, and it helps you to do your daily planning. Now, what this system doesn't have, or this template doesn't have, it doesn't cover scope management or critical path calculation. It doesn't support task dependencies. It doesn't support resource management or cost calculation or risk management yet. If you would like to see some of these models or all of them, please let me know and I might add them to this template in the future. The first part here is the work breakdown structure. This is one of the most important steps in your project where you break down your project into manageable chunks. And it's important because it helps you not only to correctly estimate costs and duration and resources, but also prevent you from forgetting important components or tasks or deliverable in your project. In this example, we will have like a generic demo of a project. So let's start here. The first thing you start is you start adding your tasks or components. Start with the upmost highest components of your or elements of your project. In this case, I will start with the phases of the project. Let's say that the first phase is called project initiation. Then you will have the design phase. Then you will have the closeout phase. Now, over here, you can start with, let's say, call this A, phase B, and phase C. Now, you start breaking down your phases. Let's open the project initiation. Now, this is a phase. You have multiple templates here, a phase template, a work package template, and a multitask template, and a deliverable template. Since this is a phase, I'll start with a phase template. Over here, you will have another table for the tasks, but now you will start breaking it down to its component. So let's say that I have the first part is project setup. Then I will have the contract sign off, the contract sign off. These are, let's say, the main two work packages that you'll be working with. And here, I'll just give it 1, 2. Note over here that immediately these tasks were added under project initiation with the correct indentation and numbering, A.1, A.2. Now, let's open the project setup. Let's say that the first thing that you need to do is a multitask step. Oh, sorry, my bad. It's not a multitask, it's a work package template. Now, a work package, the project setup is a work package that will have multiple steps under it. For example, the first thing is you need to collect requirements. Then you need to define the scope. Then you need to create this scope statement. Get the client approval. And let's give them the numbers 1, 2, 3. Notice again, they were added under the project setup and we're giving the correct indentation and numbering. Oh, I forgot another step over here, which is create the work breakdown structure. And over here, I will just number this as number 3, number 4, and number 2. And automatically, it rearranges itself here in the work breakdown structure table. Now, let's get back to the project setup, or sorry, the project initiation. And we will go now to the second components or the second step of the project initiation, which is contract signing. In this case, this is a multitask template. It's not a work package, it's a simple multitask where basically we just need to sign the contract, sorry, approve the plan and have the kickoff meeting and sign the contract. Before I forget, let's get back to the project setup. Over here, the scope statement is actually a deliverable. This is something that you need to deliver to the client. You need the scope statement. You need to have your scope statement in your hand when you go to sign your contract. So just here you go and say the deliverable will have the risk plan, the project plan, the risk plan, the cost calculation, etc. And let's say this will be, I need 2 soft copies, 2 hard copies, and 1 soft copy. You can add all the details that is needed for this deliverable. Now, let's jump into the second phase, which is the design phase. Let's say that I have 2 work packages over here. This is a phase, so I will add design phase, template, sorry, a phase template. Then I will say I have a concept design. Oh, they're playing. Concept design. And let's say construction design or detail design for simplicity. And again, make sure it's 1, 2. The concept design consists of, say, it's a work package. Same thing for the closeout. Now, I'll not waste more time on this. Once you finish that, you can move into the planning view. You broke down your project. Oh, we forgot to add numbers for these. Sorry. One, two, three. Now let's move into the planning view. Over here, you will have only the tasks. You plan only your lowest tasks. You will not be planning any parent task because it doesn't make sense. All the duration, worked hours, and progresses will roll out to the parent task. So there's no point of doing your planning here. For these parent tasks, you always plan the lowest child task. So you start by estimating the needed hours, work hours for each task. We're not talking about um, daily working hours, how many days I need. No, 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 no. How much total hours you need. If you sit down, do nothing but working on this task from beginning to end, how many hours it requires. Even if it goes over a period of time, it doesn't matter. So let's say that this, I need 20 hours to collect requirements. I need 5 hours to create the work breakdown structure. The scope statement will require another 10 hours. Client approval, I will need 10 hours because you have a meeting, you discuss, they give you some comments, you go back and do it. Actually, it might take 20 hours. Approve the project plan, let's say 5 hours. The kickoff meeting, 5 hours again, because you need to calculate the time of travel to the meeting itself, and going back. Travel time is something you need to account for. A pro tip. Let's say the contract signing is at 1 hour. The team meeting will have 5 hours because it might be done over a 2 day period. The pre-concept, let's say it would require 20 hours. The review would require 7 hours, let's say. Concept design, the final deliverable will require 30 hours of work. The team meeting for the second stage is, let's say, again, 5 hours. Pre-concept, oh, actually not pre-concept. It shouldn't be the pre-concept, the final concept. Sorry, my bad. Detailed design. Craft design. Let's say it's required 40 hours. The review required 20 hours because it's a continuous process. We will get to that. Detailed design would require 50 hours, and for the closeout, we will keep it out for now. We'll just ignore it. Now, here where it gets really interesting. Now, collected requirements, let's say that you start or started collecting the requirements. Let's say you will start on 24th. Notice that immediately you will have few calculated numbers already. Collect requirements, 4 hours per day, 5 days. This is a 5 day task. Okay, but since it requires 20 hours of work, this means that you need to work 4 hours per day in order to finish this task within 5 days. Now I'll be working full time on it, so I will work only for 2 days, but this means that I have to work 10 hours per day in order to finish this task in 2 days. I'll just extend it to 3 days. So I'll be working 7 hours per day. Now, creating work breakdown structure, I will overlap it along with the collect requirements because you start building your work breakdown structure once you have some requirements. So these two can overlap. Then let's say that I'll create the scope statement within 2 days. So I need to work 5 hours per day. client approval, it needs to be within 2 days, let's say, have a meeting, get approval, some modification, then approve the project plan, kickoff meeting, and contract signing all will happen in 1 day. Let's say, starting with the next week, we will have our first meeting and we will do it over 2 days period, and we'll start the pre-concept adjacent to it, and we will do it in these. Then, here's interesting thing. Let's say that the review will happen in the same time with the pre-concept developing, but it will not happen on daily basis. And by the way, for sake of this example, I'll assume that this will take 50 hours pre-concept. So I will just stretch this into 8 days work, and the same for the review. Now, I don't need to review every single day, but the review process will happen while the pre-concept is developing. So I might come here and say that the design will repeat, the review will repeat every 3 days. Notice immediately here, you will have this icon that will tell you that this is a reoccurring task. Also, notice that there are question marks here to indicate that these tasks are not scheduled. We will get into what these icons over here mean in a moment. And notice here that now the total time per day is 2.5 hours almost, because you're not doing your review every single day, you're doing it every 3 days. This is why each review will have more time. If I make it every 5 days, again, it will become higher. Another option you have is you can use it per week. Let's say every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday, you will do your reviews. So again, notice how the time for each review would change based on how many days I'm reviewing. For now, I will keep it every 3 days. Then the pre-concept, let's say it will take, again, let's say 5 days, and so on and so forth. I'll stop now and we will continue. I will stop the recording and I will continue this table. So I will not waste more of your time. Okay, I finished the plan. I left the closeout for a reason. Now let's have a look here. Let's talk a little bit about these icons over here. These icons are based on the schedule performance index. Note that today is the 9th of November. So these tasks are way behind schedule. Why? Because, well, we didn't do anything on this task. We did not. We said it requires 20 hours of work, and until now, we did 0 hours of work. So this is why you have double arrows to indicate that this task is really behind schedule. Now, as you can see here, the progress is 0 out of 100. Let's open this one here and have a look at the hours done. If we say that we already up to that point finished 10 hours, it still would be double because it's really late. Even if we are 19 hours, now it dropped into one rectangle. It's still behind schedule. Oh, sorry. It's still behind schedule, but it's not that severe. If I finish this into 20 hours, this means that the task is already done. Now, if I worked 35 hours on this task, you will find that you have an error over here. The task is considered way ahead of progress because now your progress is above 100%, and that's an error. This is why you'll have an error message over here. Task progress is greater than 100%. This is a wrong calculation. It shouldn't be that because it will give you a fake or an accurate measurement for your an accurate measurement for the actual progress of your project. It shouldn't be above 100%. In this case, if you actually worked for 35 hours, basically your initial estimation was wrong. You need to fix this to 35 hours. Okay, let's assume. Now, let's jump into, another thing before I forget. Over here, you will have a triangle, a blue triangle, white triangle, which means indicate that this is a future task. It's still not due. Let's have this one. This one is supposed to already started and it requires 50 hours and we finished 10 hours. Now we have two dots, two green dots, which indicate that this task is way ahead of schedule, which is good. We're ahead of schedule here. Why? Because we finished 20% of the task at hand, while the time that has passed is way less than 20%. It's 1 out of 8 days, 1/8 of the period. Now, if this was 5 hours, it's behind schedule. If it's 6, it's still behind schedule. If it's 7, now it's slightly ahead of schedule. So this is how the system automatically tell you if you're ahead of schedule or not. Over here, if let's say that I already clocked some hours here, again, you will have an error message. Task started ahead of schedule. Sometimes, yeah, you might start a task ahead of schedule, but you need to keep it in mind. Because this means that your plan now is not realistic, because realistically, you started here. Sometimes you would like to keep it like that. It's not a problem. It's just a note for you. Okay, now let's keep this back again to 0. Haven't started yet. And let's jump into the planning phase, the daily planner. Now, the daily planner basically will show you what are your tasks for today. Now, you will find you have a lot of tasks today because some of these tasks already started but not done yet. Like, for example, if you go to the planner, this one is supposed to be done by now. This one's supposed to be done. All these are supposed to be done. Now, the issue, because they're still not completed, they will show in your daily planner. And basically, when you have a look here, it will show you how many hours you need to work per day on these tasks. So in order to finish these tasks today, you need to work 36 hours, which is a little bit more than 24 hours. So you're seriously behind schedule. You need to add some people to this project or replan your project because it's highly unrealistic. But for the sake of this demo, let's assume that I actually done my work correctly. So this one over here will be already done. Remaining 5 hours. So let's say that 5 hours is done. So immediately it disappears because now it's a completed task. It will show you, by the way, how many hours you're supposed to work per day versus how many hours remaining. Why the client approval require 10 working hours? There's a mistake here in my planning. Okay, the client approval, let's extend it for a few days more to be a little bit more realistic. Okay, or it will not require 20 hours. So let's assume this is done, this is done. Approve the project plan is already done. And contract signing is already done for sure. Team meeting, let's have a look. Let's say that the team meeting is already done. Let's assume that the team meeting is not done yet. We had only one meeting. So remaining 4 hours. We're supposed to work 2 hours per day. So let's start our planning. Now it's 12 o'clock. Obviously, we came late to work, apparently. So in order to finish my work today, I need to have 2.5 hours, a team meeting, and I need to start the pre-concept. And the pre-concept requires 6 hours. So I'll be working from 12 to 9 o'clock. You cannot edit these times. These times are calculated based on what? Sorry. These duration is calculated based on the total working hours per day that was calculated during your planning. So this way you know that I need, in order to be on schedule, to work 8 hours, 175 for this day, 2 for this, and 6 for the pre-concept. Now, don't overlap tasks here. It doesn't make sense. You won't be working on the same task at the same time, assuming that you have one person. But if you have different people working on these tasks, yeah, you can overlap them for sure. Now, let's go to the planning a little bit more. Let's assume that the pre-concept design will start also today. So if you go for a daily planning, you will see that the pre-concept or the concept design will also start today. And you need to work 3 hours for it. Because remember, when we extended this more, we added more days. So now it's 3 hours. Now, if you're working 6 hours, 2 hours, and 3 hours, this is way more than 8 hours per day. So this is a little bit bad planning, assuming that you want to work 8 hours per day, the regular work day, working hours per day. So if you have 6, 2, that's 8, and 3, you're talking about 11, 12 hours. That's unrealistic, and you shouldn't work like that, and you shouldn't plan. This is a bad planning over here. So either you need to add more people to work with you in order to distribute this, or you have to move this around, give yourself a little bit more days for work in order to drop your daily working hours. So you see how this is possible to help you in your planning. Now, let's have a look here. I want to check something. In your daily planner, you will notice that you have team meeting and pre-concept. But over here, it's supposed to have team meeting, pre-concept, and review. But the review is not showing here. Why? Again, because this is a reoccurring task that appears every 3 days. So the first time it appeared was on the 8th. Today is the 9th, though there is no review. It will appear 1, 2, 3 on 11. Sorry, 1, 2, 3 on 11. You will have the first review at 8, the second at 11, the third at 14. So basically over here, if this was like that, then if you look at your daily planner, you will find your daily review or your review for the pre-concept in this day. Because every third day, today is one of these every third day. This is how I handle, or the system handles reoccurring tasks. It will tell you in which day they will appear. Let's get back here. So if I put this back here, it won't show because today there is no review. So this is simply how you manage your work and your tasks. Now, the weekly planner simply will show you in the next 7 days, not accounting for today, what should you expect. These are the tasks that you need to be working on next week in order to keep yourself on schedule. But the problem here, you are behind schedule here, a little bit ahead of schedule here. So you need to plan accordingly. Now, if I push this a little bit out more, it disappeared. Why? Because now this task, if I do undo, this task is supposed to start within 1 week. But if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if it's on the 17th, that's outside of the 7-day bracket. So it's not within the 7 days, in the next 7 days. But tomorrow, on 10th, this task will appear because it will be within the 7-day bracket. Same thing happens for tasks that reoccurring tasks, sorry. But in this case, they will always appear if it's like repeats every 3 days. But for the sake of this example, just to show you what I mean by that, let's extend this like that and extend this like that. This is now we have 15 day, and let's say it will appear every 8 days, more than 7 days. Let's extend it even more just to make it more. If I look at the daily planner, the weekly planner, you will see that the review appears here within this next 7 days. But if I start moving it a little bit, it repeats every 8 day. So the next time would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the 14th. And the 14th is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 within 5 days. So it will appear within the next 7 days. But if I push it here, it will disappear. Because within the next 7 days, there won't be another meeting because the meeting repeats every 8 days. Now we would notice if I put it at the very beginning, it will disappear. Why is that? Because it will appear on the daily planner, the review, because it's today's task, but it's not in the next 7 days. And that's why it doesn't appear. Now, let's start looking at some of the other features and reports that this template has. Now, again, here are some simple reports. That's one. Let's say by status. It will show you the tasks you have by status. The closeout phase is not scheduled. This is why I left it without, any date. If I put a date here, it will disappear from by status or not scheduled into not started. By the way, I forgot to mention, when it comes to the daily planner, every day you need to delete these in order to start planning your day correctly. The next day, you need to delete these and start again, or just simply move it to the new timings. Okay. By status, what's not started, work in progress and completed. By owner, if you have owners for your tasks. I have one ABCD, which is, just random names. I didn't appoint anyone because simply, so let's say you will add it to A, or you can simply also do it by owner over here. Simply just grab this and put it for A, I think. Yeah, start jumping, add this for Mr. B. There you go. Add this for Mr. C. Did I add it to Mr. C? Yes. Another thing I failed to mention, which is holding a task. You can put a task on hold, and consequently, its subtask will get on hold. For example, if I put the work package on hold, you will notice that all the subtasks that belong to A1, A1, 1, 2, 3, 4 will get also on hold. If I put A11 alone, it will be only A1 on hold because simply it doesn't have any children. If I go and put the, let's say, the multitask, all the subtasks will go on hold. So over here, if let's say I will just put this here, you can have a look at what tasks are on hold, and you can check your tasks by progress, which is ahead of schedule, which is behind schedule, which is whatever. A detailed plan, or before the detailed plan, let's just go to, I forgot to mention this for the owner. Over here, you have number one. This is the average SPI for each of these guys. Average SPI, basically, it tells you how good this guy or not good when it comes to performing his task. Is he ahead of schedule or he is behind schedule on average for his task? So for example, if I take this guy over here and I will add it to Mr. A, you will notice that his SPI dropped to 0.6, which means he's behind schedule. The reason, this one is completed, so he gets 1 for it. This one is way behind schedule, so it dropped it to 0.6. Now, if this one over here, which is ahead of schedule, a lot ahead of schedule, is also added for Mr. A, you will notice that now he's 1.33, which means on average, he's ahead of schedule with his tasks. So this is also good for evaluating the performance of your people. And when you find that someone is really lagging behind, it means probably either he needs some help, he need more resources, or he has some issues, that a competence issue or something he doesn't know, or you just overload him with work without realizing. Or he's lazy, I don't know. The detail plan basically will show you the entire project. And over here, this is where when I said that the stats of the child will roll up to the parent task. Over here, you will notice that the project initiation required 81 hours over 10 days period. And notice you cannot change these dates. These dates are fixed, calculated. Now, the project phase, it's the parent for the project setup and the parent for, well, the parent for all these guys. Now, if, let's say, the work breakdown structure stretched way more, if I extend it up to here, you will notice that the project initiation and the project setup was extended too with it, along with it. Reason? Because these are parent of this. So the start of any parent depends on the earliest task of its children, and the end of each parent depends on the latest date of its children, latest end date of its children. So they will automatically just extend or decrease with it. So let's get this back as it was. And not only that, you will notice that also all sort of stats will carry out. As I said, 81 hours, because you have here all the subtasks, 1 hour, 5, 5, 11, 3, 10, 5, and 35. If you sum all these, it will give you 81. 70 of these are in the project setup, which is these guys over here. And also, that's not only the total duration also depends on it, and also how much work has been done. The progress also here is 100% because all these tasks are completed. So thus, the parent is complete. Now, if I go here and let's say this one, the client approval is still not done. Let's say we spent 10 hours over it. You will notice that now this task is very way behind schedule, but the project setup and the project initiation are slightly behind schedule. And the progress now is 39.8. The summary plan is the same thing, with the exception that it shows you the overview, just the overview, which basically the parent tasks and the deliverables. Actually, not even only the phases and work packages and deliverables. Now, lastly, you have a deliverable calendar that will tell you when your deliverables are due. You have the scope statement supposed to be delivered on 29th. You have the concept design supposed to be on 16th and the detailed design on 30th. Errors is basically will show you where you have errors in your program. For example, let's have some look over here. Let's say that I'll push this here and you'll have an error. Let's have this one, and I will do a stupid mistake of ending the project, ending the step, the task before it started. If you go to the errors, you will find that the team meeting, the end date is before the start date. You cannot end the task before you start it. And the task started ahead of schedule. And sometimes, let's say, let's overwork this task, and let's say that we worked 60 hours over it, and you will get two errors. Task started ahead of schedule, and the task progress is greater than 100. So basically, it helps you to see the teeny weeny mistakes that might be done by committed by your team or by you, and help you to fix them in order to have an accurate calculation for your progress. This is in short the template that I've developed for project management using Notion. I hope that you found it very useful. If you have any questions, recommendation, requests, please put it down in the comments and I will do my best to address them. If you would like to know more of how this template work, stay tuned for the next part of this video where I will talk about the logic of creating multitasks and the reoccurring tasks and how the SPI is calculated and how the SPI icons are done. If you are interested, please sub and ring the bell and whatnot. Also, in the link, there will be two versions of this, a link for two versions of this template. One is free, a simpler one. And if you don't need that level of complicated project management requirement, project management, sorry, template, there is a simpler one for free. And please, if you'd like to support me, the full one is available for a small price. If you like, I have also planned for another video for a life management system, personal, not for your work, but to manage all the aspects of your life, your goals, your plans, and whatnot. And it's way much bigger and more detailed. If you're interested, let me know. I will share it with you. Also, I have a small merch. If you would like to be really generous with me, please check it out and let me know what you think of my designs. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the next video.